Well, hello there. This is my travel journal. I've been filling it with sketches and paintings of places we've visited for years now, and I really want to get it filled this year. The thing is, when I start a painting inside of it, I usually begin with a pencil sketch. I get really detailed with that sketch, and then I freak myself out when I think of going over it in paint or ink and possibly messing it up. So it just sits in the book as a pencil drawing, which I guess there's nothing wrong with in some cases, but to me it just feels unfinished compared to what I had in mind for these pages originally. Today I'm not going to plan out the composition I have in mind with a pencil sketch. I'm just going to go straight in with paint. And if you're an over-planning pencil sketcher like me, I challenge you to do the same. Earth Day happened earlier this week, and I knew I wanted to paint Animal Kingdom's Tree of Life to celebrate. So we took a trip to the park for inspiration and to gather reference. I knew I also wanted to talk about getting detailed work finished faster, and I mean, just looking at this tree, you can see why I chose it to be the subject matter for a video like this. The amount of detail is wild, no pun intended. And by the end of this video, you'll see that I was kind of overwhelmed by taking on this tree as a painting. Alright, now let's jump right in with paint and see what happens. We can always paint right over anything we don't like. Hopefully you won't find this washi tape too distracting, but it will come off in a bit, and yes, it does damage the paper as I remove it. I'm also finally breaking out the acrylic wash I've been wanting to experiment with for a while now, so this will be a good practice in that regard as well. Now, everyone works in different ways and there's not really a right or wrong, but if you need to finish something quickly, these are just a few of my tips to get things done. 1. Negative space. Plotting out your composition by finding the negative space is my recommended way to go into a painting like this. For example, instead of looking closely at every branch I'll be painting right now, I'm actually just observing the sky around the tree and everywhere it's peeking through in between the branches. 2. Midtones, then shadows, then highlights. You can see that I started to get into the shading a little early on there and had to remind myself to get my midtones blocked in. It's so easy to zone in on the finer details early on, but unless we plan on spending hours on this, we need to block in our midtones first. Obviously, this will be completely different if you're using watercolor, but it's a good bet if you're using gouache, acrylic, or oil paints. Now, just to be clear, I'm not making this video to say you should rush through your art, but sometimes while doing a study like this in a sketchbook, it's good to set yourself a time limit, or else you can spend all day on a study. Trust me, I've done it before many times, and sometimes that's okay. But if you're juggling projects and this was just supposed to be a warm-up, then you probably don't want to sacrifice an entire day to it. Remind yourself that you can always come back to it. 3. Simplify shapes wherever you can. However you make things easier for yourself is kind of what births your style. I once heard an artist talk where the speaking artist said whatever shortcuts you take is how your style is formed, and that really resonated with me because we can all learn the same ways of painting, but it's those little nuances, whether it's the way you see things or the flick of your wrist when you put brush to canvas, whatever feels natural to you, go with it, and I really do believe that will help your style form. 4. Don't get caught up in the small details until the very end of your painting. I think this is the main point I wanted to make with this video, because I am very guilty of honing into the smallest details very early on. Like when I'm out in the world trying to draw from life, I'll fall in love with the minute details of a building when I'm trying to draw a study of architecture. And then, before I know it, so much time has passed that the clouds have shifted, completely changing the lighting on the subject, or my body is physically tired from either sitting on a bench or standing. And that's kind of what was happening by the end of this painting. I was getting a little exhausted, so the details became a bit rushed. But that's totally fine, since again, this is just supposed to be a quick sketchbook study. I think we see all these beautiful sketchbook spreads either on Instagram or Pinterest, which is nice, but the sketchbook is really just meant for practice. Okay, time for a story. Before moving to Orlando, I think I was most excited to see Animal Kingdom. Even though I grew up going to Disneyland, living in California, I had never been to Disney World before my college program in 2015. I remember when Animal Kingdom opened and what a big deal it was, watching the Tree of Life get built around an old oil rig on the Disney Channel. For some reason, I thought I was going to end up working there. I even saw Joe Rohde on my plane from LAX to Orlando. I thought it was a sign for sure. In retrospect now, I realize I was lucky to work at an air-conditioned ride at Epcot, and now I'm a total Epcot fangirl. I mean, I had seen images of what we called the giant golf ball all my life, so it was pretty cool to be working right under it every day too. This is the little story I'm adding onto the page here, as this is my travel journal, and I just want it to be full of memories when it's finished. But anyways, when we went to Animal Kingdom last week to get some footage of the tree, I remembered how cool it is to always find new creatures within the design. Thinking of the Imagineers sculpting as many animals as they could into whatever free space they had in front of them is pretty crazy to me. I highly recommend taking a walk around the Tree of Life trail during your next visit to the park if you've never done it. It's actually one of my favorite attractions at Animal Kingdom. I hope you found this video helpful in some way. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more. If you'd like to see more of my speed paint videos like this, you can check out this playlist, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!